Emmerdale in 3 words.
Emmerdale in 3 words.
Rural, wet and windy.
Dramatic.
Family.
Brilliant, exciting, I want to say homely.
Joyous.
Fun.
Crazy.
Great team effort.
Daring.
Hard work. Can I have hard work for 2?
Bitchy.
Passionate.
Funny.
The world in miniature. It's 4 words. Damn it.
Emmerdale in 3 words. 50 unforgettable years.
Emmerdale, a small village nestled in the Yorkshire Dales. Your typical farming community. Well, not quite.
Stuff blowing up, stuff on fire.
This is a nice, quiet, peaceful village.
The car's flipping over, or someone's driving at me, or there's a shotgun going off.
Tonight, we celebrate Emmerdale's finest and funniest moments.
Paddy's the great love of Marlon's life, really.
From the hard-hitting
Yeah, I've thumped many people in my career on Emmerdale. Worm.
She was right.
to the heartbreaking.
Sally agreed to come back to die.
And I don't want to go. Not yet.
With our favourite families reunited,
Elvis Dingle!
Elvis Dingle, go, you behave.
we celebrate one of Britain's most loved soaps.
I think we've just time for a nice cup of Yorkshire tea before we go.
With an 81-strong cast and 312 episodes a year, award-winning Emmerdale is watched by millions.
Please, Lord, help me. I'm really scared. It's too early for the baby to come.
The show's beginnings were perhaps less dramatic.
I always like the wobbly Yorkshire television.
I had a T-shirt with that on.
Sorry, I'm just listening to music. Can you shh?
50 years ago, Leeds United won the FA Cup. The M1 finally took you all the way to Leeds, a stone's throw from the Yorkshire Dales. And broadcasting law changed the daytime TV landscape forever. TV channels could now run more than just children's programmes in the afternoon.
Look at that, beautiful.
Oh, it's actually quite emotional, isn't it? That first theme tune. It's not even any houses. Where's everyone live?
Emmerdale Farm, that's right, Emmerdale Farm.
My earliest memories of Emmerdale growing up was, I think, what everybody remembers, which was flat caps and people on farms. That was where I started.
Being poorly at school and watching Rainbow and Emmerdale.
I was brought up in North Yorkshire, only a few miles up from the original farm, and you could see the filming going on, and I thought, ooh, that'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Got a lovely picture of my gran at Esholt with a cardboard cutout of Seth.
I was brought up by my mum, single parent. She'd watched it from the get-go when it was Emmerdale Farm, so that's my memory of Emmerdale, Mr. Wilkes, Amos Brearley, all of that crew.
Even now, people get called Amos because of those big sideburns.
Sometimes used to be late back to school over dinner time because I was just having a little look at Emmerdale. Of course, because everybody fancied the brothers as well.
That name, Sugden, because it was right there at the start. And so people knew Annie Sugden, they knew Jack Sugden, they knew Joe Sugden.
Everybody in Yorkshire watched Emmerdale. It was their programme, and proud of it too.
Yorkshire TV had invited playwright Kevin Lefan to write a 26-part drama set in the Dales.
We would have a programme that people living in cities and engaged in the routine business of earning a living would be able to see the kind of life that they would perhaps want to escape to. Everything that happens in Emmerdale Farm could happen, and I think does happen, to ordinary people.
On the 16th of October 1972, viewers watched Emmerdale Farm for the very first time.
Straight to a funeral. Of course.
Funeral cortege! Hey, that's not a bad start.
I've been to a few funerals now, Dominic, haven't we?
We've dodged a few bullets.
Yeah.
It has to be said. That's the original Jack Sugden, isn't it?
But I forgot, like, there was a different Jack, man. My mum would know that, definitely. She should be in this seat.
I think it's very telling that it starts with a funeral.
That seemed unusual at the time, but To be honest with you, it's kind of set the tone, hasn't it? We have a funeral every other week on Emmerdale now.
Hello, Joe. Remember me, do you?
Jack, isn't it? Somebody once said to me, so Fraser, you're playing a young Yorkshire lad with an eye for the women. And I just said, yeah, no acting required.
How's Mum taking it?
You'd best judge that for yourself.
It's weirdly familiar, like it almost feels like it could have been yesterday.
It's really compelling, isn't it? That's really brilliantly set up. A funeral, couple of handsome blokes.
Come on in. Not having picnic.
2 million tuned into episode 1, and the Sugdens became the first family of farming.
So you've come home then?
Hi, Ma.
It did take a bit of getting used to because, you know, a lot of it happened in a farmhouse kitchen.
Do you want these peeled, or are you going to bake them?
Peeled, I think. Joe's not too keen on jacket potatoes.
Grandad is, though.
It was sufficiently good to get us recommissioned.
Ah, I've a right to be angry. I've an animal up there in pain. I could lose the calf, all because some idiot left that gate open. You're learning your lines, and it says Matt and Joe... It didn't say Matt and Joe are doing X, Y, Z. It said Matt and Joe are working. Because whenever we turned up to the farm, whatever the farmer was doing, that's what we had to do. We had to shear sheep, which was sheer agony. Oh, thank you very much.
Kind of missed that element, man. Proper sort of getting gritty and grimy, and yeah, it just takes me back to my childhood.
And when they weren't on the farm, a real village in Yorkshire was chosen to bring the fictional village of Beckendale, as it was then known, to life.
The star of the show has always been the Emmerdale village itself.
Coronation Street is all cobbles, and EastEnders is all doom and gloom. Emmerdale's still bright, a lovely village street, countryside, the good Yorkshire countryside.
From 1976, the show spent 21 years filming in the real village of Esholt. And still standing there today is the legendary Woolpack.
God bless this pub and all those supping it, not forgetting my son.
50 years of the Woolpack, the scene of many a celebration. More than a few fights. And plenty of local colour.
I could tell as soon as it touched my lips, it's off.
It's usually a night to remember.
I'd say the Woolpack, how many times they've blown it up? And literally it's the unsafest pub you ever want to be in your life.
It's been blown up, burnt down and struck by lightning, but its doors are always open.
Communities revolve around the pub. So, yeah, the Woolpack is the central hub, really.
Ultimately, everybody congregates in there.
Do you?
All the drama happens in the Woolpack.
This is no place for an argument.
Well, who wants to argue?
Junkie. Con man. It felt a little bit like a Western almost, you know, coming in and just going, you're this, you're that, you're the other. Tax evader. Did her husband's brother. Rapist for a son. I felt terrible being horrible to Meg Johnson, who I absolutely adore.
Are you not going to tell him to leave?
No. It is nerve-wracking. I think a lot of people have had those kind of moments where you have your moment in the Woolpack.
One thing's for sure, anything can happen in the Woolpack.
Oh,
he's fantastic.
I remember being in the canteen and somebody coming up and saying, for the stripping storyline, and you're like, oh no, you know, you don't know what shape you're in at that time. You've got like 3 weeks to try and lose 2 stone. And then you're being oiled in front of people. All you've got to do is do it in a situation like that and think nobody will ever see it. But then, of course, 6 weeks later, when it goes out, people remind you, well, hey, you get a bit of that in the street.
The Woolpack has moved with the times. The drinks have always been real, but thankfully it's now a smoke-free zone.
Oh, look at that smoking. You smoked in the pub. You can't believe it, can you?
Pint for Seth, please, and a large Scotch meal.
Certainly, Mr. Turner.
Lots of people there are sadly gone now, and they were our friends and work pals, and it just reminds you that we were there, like, in that era, and we're here now, you know, and you're like, oh my God.
Last order!
This is only temporary. I want decent money. I'm not shifting barrels, and if anyone gives me any grief, I'm likely to give them a smugly.
Mandy, my dear, I'm just so glad you could spare the time.
To have been a barmaid in the Woolpacks, you know, it's a part of Emmerdale history.
Because I've worked in a lot of bars in my life, I could time the dialogue to actually pour in a pint of lager to get to the end of the sentence and serve it on that lane.
I didn't really have much to do, really, in the pub, and I used to call them my what can I get you days. What can I get you? What can I get you? What can I get you?
And it does real beer, so on a Friday, cheeky half.
Forever a home from home, the Woolpack stands the test of time. Across 50 years, the baton's been passed from Amos Brearley
I shall miss it, the nose. I think it's right going to a younger man.
to current landlord Ryan Stocks.
I remember the first time I was out in the village and they had my name above the door. And that was a real moment for me because I feel like I'd solidified my place in Emmerdale.
I hereby declare the Woolpack open!
Still to come, we dish the dirt with the Dingles.
Something flew past my head and crashed against the wall. Somebody just thrown a pie or something. It's a zoo. I'm in a zoo.
And just when you thought it was safe to go back into the village, disaster strikes.
You can't kill Frank Tate!
Welcome back to Emmerdale, 50 Unforgettable Years. By 1989, Emmerdale Farm simply became Emmerdale.
I know for a while we weren't allowed to say it. It was like, don't say farm. All you want to do is say farm.
I think it had to change because I think it needed to tell stories that weren't just about farming, about village life. It needed to be stuff that people in cities could relate to.
This was a decade of big changes. New name, a brand new early evening time slot, and 80s glamour hit the Dales in the shape of the Tates.
Come on, hurry up. Where's my pen? Oh, no. We could have all have got lists, but some of us have got scruples.
Think we were really the first of the new, but we were still the last of the old. They were trying to break through into a new era and therefore employed this family of nouveau riche people coming up to the Dales and really annoying the actual locals.
I shall have to ask you to remove your horse from my forecourt forthwith, madam.
Kim Tate opening the door to another world, which we didn't see before, which is exciting, watchable.
Excuse me.
Could you tell me the quickest way to Home Farm?
Can you tell me the quickest way to Home Farm, please?
Pardon?
I was so young.
Go straight to Emmerdale. Turn left, straight for it to crossroads, fork right and take your next left.
Fork right, next left.
Because we were a nice family when we came in. Everything was all happy and jolly.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
And obviously there was that master and servants upstairs, downstairs, thing going on.
Mr. Brearley, Kim Tate, Home Farm.
Oh, Mrs. Tate.
I think you need that in a programme like Emmerdale because people like to see what the nasty rich are doing and the poor are having to deal with.
I beg your pardon?
You heard?
You were not thrown off your farm.
It was the time of Dynasty and Dallas, and there was all these iconic bitches about. And I thought it'd be really good to inject a little bit of that into the Yorkshire Dales.
Finally, Emmerdale had thrown off its gentle demeanour and one or two garments.
I've got to come with you.
What about Kathy?
It's always been you.
To reveal what was really going on behind closed barn doors. Annie must have been horrified.
Oh!
Over the years, Kim's charm was the downfall of many a man. None more so than her husband Frank's employee, Dave Glover.
What are you doing here?
I'm your landlady, remember?
Watched by over 14 million, their affair had the nation all steamed up. And husband Frank was about to boil over.
What do you call this, Dave? Overtime?
What do you call this, Dave? Overtime?
I think love triangles work so well because there's so many secrets. You'd never know who they're going to end up with.
That was the first of the sexual scenes. But, of course, 30 years on, it's kind of twice a week, isn't it? You're seeing everybody at it.
God's sake, your shirt back on.
Bit of a cliche, though. Getting caught on the hay with a farm, man.
Have you seen where Bob's disappeared to?
How about that for safe sex?
Much better.
In spite of the arrival of city folk to stir up the storylines, Emmerdale faced stiff competition from a grittier rival, EastEnders.
Got your airline tickets?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mark's looking at them now.
Ring and Prayer Airlines.
Don't talk like that when I'm about to leave for the airport.
And by 1993, its future was hanging in the balance.
The powers that be read the riot act out to our bosses and said, you're going to have to do something to boost the viewing figures.
There was talk of it being pulled.
One of the things we wanted to do was reposition Emmerdale in the audience's mind.
Enter the creator of Grange Hill and Brookside, soap supremo Sir Phil Redmond.
The only thing I was asked to do was save the show, right? And that was why it was such fantastic. I just had a complete blank check.
When any new producer comes on the show, they want to change the titles, they want to put their stamp on it.
Basically, the things I wanted to retain were was that rural USP. I was different from EastEnders, different from Brookie, different from Corrie, but it just got a bit mushy. You know, all the characters had intermarried and they'd split up the family units.
A plan was needed to reboot Emmerdale, but big ideas don't just drop out of the sky. Or do they?
How would we actually start again? A village out in the dales, you know, so it's got no big motorways, no railways where you could have a train crash. But what can happen is something actually literally falling out the sky. So that's when I came up with the idea, like, we'll drop a plane on the village.
They said, going to have a new producer coming in and he's going to wipe a few people out. And we thought, oh, well, who? No, you won't know until the scripts arrive.
Of course, everyone was going to the back pages going, right, who's died, who's died?
Everybody was a bit wary of me, so I got the cast together and I said, look, this is kind of what the story's about, and it's all going to be great, you know.
When it was produced, it was quite incredible.
I remember this completely as a viewer watching this, thinking, you can't kill Frank Tate.
Frank.
I've got to get them out, Frank! They're burning!
My horses.
Get them well away from the fire!
I said to him, I need a wing of a plane to come flying down and hit Joe's car.
Look out!
Ooh. Look at those stunts. Look. Now, nowadays, that would get a soap award.
It was one of those big stunts that everyone was talking about, and it's like, oh, it's a big plane crash in Emmerdale. Make sure you tune in.
Everyone gets affected, and you don't know who's going to come out of it alive. And I think that's when you sort of bring the camaraderie and the community just comes together and bonds, you know what I mean?
Better get down there, see if I can do anything.
All right, but be careful.
It was amazing. I was really proud of it.
There are so many people in shock. Some of the stories are horrific.
About 10 minutes in, I got a phone call from the programme director, you know, and said he just had the first early ratings in. He said, well, you did it. You pulled it off.
We call it the banana moment, when Emmerdale kind of curveballed into, you know, something that it is now.
Didn't necessarily know it would be TV history, but certainly wanted to push the ratings up, and we certainly achieved that.
We lost some viewers, but we accrued so many more. It had the desired effect.
It turned the whole show around, and that's why we're still going again today. So thank you, Phil.
A week of high-octane episodes led to the show's largest audience to date, peaking at 16 million viewers. Emmerdale now stood shoulder to shoulder with its rivals.
Yeah, that was going to make history one way or the other. It was going to be absolutely fantastic, or it was going to be a real turkey, and that would have been the end of me, probably.
The devastation caused by the crash created an opportunity.
By destroying most of the village, we could then reconstruct it. We decided to rename the village Emmerdale in tribute.
So Beckendale becomes Emmerdale.
That's right.
Should have called it Annie Sugdenvale.
And with the ratings on a new high, filming in the real village of Esholt got a lot harder.
It was like doing live theatre. You get busloads coming in to see us filming.
We couldn't film because of the noise. You'd be like, and action, a baby's crying. So I think after a while they realised the only thing we could do would be to build our own village.
So a brand new village set was built. It took 5 months, with the beautiful filming location covering the equivalent of over 8 football pitches. The new Emmerdale village inspired by Eschalt, opened for filming in 1998 and was given the Royal Seal of Approval during a visit by Queen Elizabeth in 2002.
It's an amazing place to be. This is my office, this is where I work.
Going down to the village, I used to think, oh God, do I really work here?
The village is beautiful in the summer. I mean, it's stunning. We have a lot of wildlife, and when it's sunny, it's gorgeous, but in the winter, different story.
Used to film in the rain all the time, and I was going, but we're drenched, keep going, we can get it in before sunset. And I do remember one day it was sunny.
In 1994, Sir Phil Redmond introduced the Dingles, one of Emmerdale's most iconic families.
One of the things I was really missing was a kind of urbanite view of what country folk are like, and I think the Dingles came to do that, to give us that kind of hillbilly feel of living to their own values and their own means and their own ways. You know what you're going to get with a Dingle, don't you?
Sauce, Viv. Oh!
Dingles, who gives a monkey? You do! Smack him, Dad.
Them colours with your complexion.
You all right? Dad!
And we've got 3 of the original troublemakers together to spill the beans.
There's a tomato stain here that I think was made in about 1998 that nobody's bothered to clean up. Do you remember how cold it was when it was a real outdoor
we
house?
used to film in the actual house.
Pre-Bell.
Yeah, before baby Belle was born. Lisa?
Happy Christmas, Zach. It's a girl.
I always remember Jane Cox saying, who played Lisa, I can't work with rat muck on the table. I absolutely refuse.
There was definitely a bad smell.
They don't get that in Downton Abbey.
What does a Dingle always do in a crisis? Run? No. Retire down to the woolly and wait for the good Lord to provide.
There's a Dingle-type family in every community.
Yeah. And with that upstairs, downstairs, the rich, so you always had the Tates, the rich and the poor.
I wouldn't worry. You'll get your eviction.
Good.
People love to watch that kind of, you know, the upper class, and then there's us hovering underneath.
Jack Dingle, what do you want?
I want to talk to you.
We've done all our talking.
I want to sort it out. Man to man.
Man to man? What do you think?
You'll kill him.
Aye. Hang on, Frank. I'll be right down.
It was a different show back then, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
completely.
different.
It was very like Carry On Dingles. My favourite, we loved this one when we were at Home Farm and we pretended to be tour guides.
We both work for the Hidden Dales Heritage Experience.
She was supposed to be the lady.
Lady Amanda Dingley.
So sorry to keep you all waiting. When I'm out shopping for clothes, time just passes me by, don't you know? Oh, got a little soiree at the palace next week. Can't go in these old rags, one.
When we talk about it, you think, we can't have done that. It's ludicrous. It's like a sitcom.
We were like this really solid family, and even though they gave us scripts, you know, and which were naturally funny, we would put our isms in there, and that's what made us, I think, flourish, and that created more Dingle mayhem.
I remember when I arrived, because you guys had been here at least 2.5 years before I arrived.
Marlon! How you doing, Mandy?
I arrived on set, and it was quite normal at first, and then we went inside. And this sort of like giddiness just began. It just kind of like, I was thinking, there's a funny atmosphere here. And then at that point, something flew past my head and crashed against the wall. Somebody just thrown a pie or something. And it hit the wall. And I'm just thinking, what's this, a zoo? I'm in a zoo.
If we hadn't been popular, we'd have been sacked there and then, wouldn't we?
Probably should have been sacked.
Still to come, a big bash.
9 weddings between us, Dominic. Look at the state of them.
A big bash and a big bash. Welcome back to Emmerdale, 50 unforgettable years.
To Butch Dingle.
By the millennium, the show was attracting over 10 million viewers who watched Ashley and Bernice tie the knot.
Love a good wedding. Love a good wedding.
How can I have got this lucky twice?
Do I do it justice?
We can do anything.
Come on then. Let's get it over with.
Back in 1974, Joe Sugden had stolen the show at his own wedding. Quite the look.
Look at my hair, though. Look how long that hair was. It wasn't a wig either. You can't see my ears.
Check out them sideburns.
Soap weddings hardly ever go well.
Will you take Luke Bernard James?
She said no.
No.
Oh, wow.
Will you...
He's a murderer.
They're not really weddings, are they? They're more like punch-ups.
You wanted to make me jealous and you have!
Oh, yes.
Oh, go on, thump him, Zach. Yeah.
Yeah, I've thumped many people in my career on Emmerdale, but that's up there as one of my absolute favourites. Worm.
She was right.
But not all weddings end in a punch-up. Aaron married his Mr. Right, Robert.
Incredible. Just a fun day, and I think it was kind of tying the knot in something that was a little bit more than just a sort of relationship. It was years of constant sort of back and forth arguing, emotional kind of thing. To be my lawful wedded husband was such a beautiful ending.
Husband and husband.
Emmerdale weddings are such wonderful occasions that some characters make a habit of saying, I do.
Get it over with.
That's the spirit.
Huh? You could pipe down. You've had more weddings than Liz Flaming Taylor.
9 weddings between us, Dominic. Look at the state of us.
You do get it on Twitter going, how come I'm on my own? When Paddy's been married 5 times.
But when it comes to multiple marriages, who is the maestro?
Bob is the most married man in Emmerdale, possibly in any soap.
Everyone's had a relationship with Bob.
I think he was married to Jean twice,
We're going to try again, Bob.
to Barbara, to Vonda,
Bob? Vonda?
to Viv twice.
All I want is to be joined in matrimony to this wonderful man.
He got married to Brenda in the handfasting.
Your love is bound for eternity.
And then they got married again.
This is the first day for the rest of our lives.
But it was immediately annulled that night.
Oh, no.
It's over.
Because he'd been unfaithful with Laurel. 8.
Busy boy, our Bob.
One family Bob hasn't married into is the Dingles, the biggest family in soap history.
Oh, it's a family tree. Oh, this is very exciting.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Oh, look at this.
Oh, look. Oh, I love this. Look
That's ridiculous.
So many
There was
of
4
us.
of us. Look at it
There's
now.
500 people in here.
There are a lot of us. No wonder people say it's like Dingledale.
Yeah. So this is Peg Dingle and Jebediah.
Elvis Dingle, go, you behave.
It's Elvis!
Who's Elvis Dingle?
Do you not remember? It's Martin. He's a wonderful actor, yeah?
Elvis Dingle! And this here is my lovely wife, Marilyn.
Sorry, who's put this on there? Who's Brando Dingle?
This is
That's
Elvis.
not real.
Brando, this is Marlon Brando.
Hiya.
Solomon, yeah, we know that one.
That's,
He was the king of the Dingles.
Want a word with you, Solomon? Somebody on me back, I'll get you for this, Zach Dingle.
So this is Lisa Dingle, her original... Was it really Lisa Greaser?
And who are you when you're at home?
Lisa.
Well, just to pick a name and then pick something that rhymes with it is the most ridiculous way to pick a name for a character.
I'll not be able to hold my head up.
Marlon had a cousin who had 4 kids. Matthew, Mark, Luke and John.
Are you moron?
Marlon! But John was a girl, but she wanted to complete the set of names, so she just called the baby John. He's she.
Mystic Dingle, Mystic Meg.
I remember her.
It's a man. Is it?
He did conjuring and things like that.
I'm not gonna lose, am I? I'm a mystic.
It's in looking good.
Smudge? Smudge? That sounds like is that a dog?
Right, is Mystic coming over for tea? Yeah, he's bringing Smudge with him, his brother. What? Are they nicknames? No.
Oh, it looks like they're going to be there for a while. Let's leave them to it. So, from a family that goes back generations to the arrival of the Sharmas, who sped into the village in 2009.
Flash convertible from the city swoops into the village and the villagers protest. Pollard doesn't like the change and he doesn't like what's coming.
This is a nice, quiet, peaceful village.
It's good to know. Maybe we'll get some nice, quiet, peaceful workers. These characters have a very different outlook on life.
Someone was saying that Joe making gnomes.
It's an interesting theory. I remember that when people don't know the truth around here, they just make things up. I suppose I was part of that evolution of the show, you know, coming in and setting up the first Asian, or well, mixed race family.
Charity, meet Mum and Dad. Where is she? Georgia.
Sharmas were the first mixed race family in Emmerdale, which is very exciting. We realised how this was kind of a big deal, it was new.
All she has to do is find the right man.
Well, it's worked for Charity.
I was aware how important it was for us to be a modern and contemporary family. And what I said to the producer at the time is, I don't want to be billed as the Asian family. I don't want you to be inventing stories that are somehow connected to the fact that my skin's brown.
Brilliant.
I think having a cast that reflects people who are sat at home watching the show, so people feel like that's them in it, that's somebody who looks like them or sounds like them, is really important.
You can do the honours. That was a sign of the times and a sign that things were changing.
Change also brought more explosive storylines that knocked the cast off their feet.
Crashes and explosions Storms. and deaths.
The car's flipping over. Someone's driving at me. Oh, there's a shotgun going off.
Stuff blowing up. Stuff on fire.
David! Go!
People drowning.
Moira's infidelity with Kane's son Nate meant actors Jeff and Natalie quite literally took the plunge into dark waters.
Look at him saving her after having an affair with his son. He's so forgiving. It was quite frightening at times, challenging. I had to hook my leg under this metal thing and I have to still wait for Jeff to dive in.
And I'm thinking, OK, I can't see anything. I can just about see Natalie in the distance.
You're holding your breath the whole time and acted like I was trapped in the reeds.
You've only got so much weight on you. You're naturally floating up to the top. And my head's supposed to be down at the bottom trying to help Natalie.
You're just thinking, OK, can I do this? Can I hold my breath for that long?
Breathing's changed from really calm to... So inside you can sense the panic.
Well, you can hear is your own breathing and it's just like you.
In that moment, I could have just gone, I can't do this, and gone to the top. And I thought, I'm just going to hold on here. And once we'd done the first take and then I got to the top, I was like, yes, I've done it, I'm in.
I enjoyed that, but it was that was challenging because it's a little bit...
They survived, but a helicopter crash led to a shattering exit for a much-loved character. Val Sharpwit was still there, even as she lay staring death in the face.
Yeah, what a way to go.
And I've got no one to miss me if I die in a freak fairground accident.
You're an infuriatingly selfish old drama queen.
I can't get over how young we both look.
You didn't have to say old.
Come on then. Do your worst. I'm not frightened of you. I'm H.I. Val. Sword of Damocles dangling over my head. I'm Val.
Still to come, we uncover the darker side of the Dales.
I might not have had to kill Andrea.
Someone really loved to hate.
And Paddy and Marlon take their friendship to the next level.
Sorry, I know it's not a conventional rehearsal, what with the bride not being here.
Hello?
Welcome back to Emmerdale, 50 unforgettable years.
Emmerdale!
At the heart of its award-winning success is drama. And where there's drama, there's often a villain.
I should have kept on running. Well, now I only need one of you.
No!
Villains-wise, who have we had? Well, obviously, it depends what your class is a villain.
And Emmerdale has had quite a few of them. Baddies who get to be very naughty indeed.
Another word, I swear I'll shoot.
This is my lucky day. I'll beat a confession out of you.
You have to be, obviously a bit mean and a bit scary and all of that kind of stuff, but I think you also have to like them.
Kane's a bit of a villain, isn't he?
DNA-wise, I think he's always been a bit of a rogue and he's always worked by his own set of rules.
Watch your back, sweetheart.
Reckon we've got a screamer here.
Stop! Although he has gone a bit soft recently, don't you think?
Say superpower.
Superpower.
I did pull Jeff up on that. I said, Kane's gone soft, mate. He was like, oh, don't.
I'm sorry, who is this woman?
Kim Tate.
Yeah, you don't mess with her.
I had left and been killed off, and then I got a call from the executive producer saying, we'd like you to come back. I said, well, you're burying me on Monday. And they said, oh, right, we better do some rewrites.
But you're
dead? That's when Kim came back to kill off Frank.
Help me!
Everyone remembers that scene, particularly when she puts the mirror to his mouth to see if he's got any breath left, and she just powders her nose. You would rather be her friend than her enemy, let's put it that way.
The show has become even more dramatic. It's become even more darker. We have serial killers that just live next door to us.
Mina the serial killer, that just captured everybody and it had everybody glued to the screen.
For pity's sake, why the hell aren't you dead yet? Surprise.
Of course, Mina has to come to mind because I had to deal with her a lot.
Maybe if she'd shut up, things might have been different. I might not have had to kill Andrea.
Someone really loved to hate.
Is that a beauty spot? A little bit of gravy.
From dangerous individuals to dynamic duos, these double acts have kept us entertained for decades.
Frank!
I didn't catch your name.
Vivian. Vivian Windsor.
Bob Hope. I think we worked really well together. I think the characters gelled together. They had that great mix. It was often the same story of Bob would do something a little bit underhand.
You lying, cheating scumbag! Get out here and bring your tart with you!
And then he'd have to try and get away with it before Viv found out. My little lost butty.
Get lost.
When you get your script and you see Marlon Paddy at the top, you know full well it'll be comedy gold.
Sorry, I know it's not a conventional rehearsal, what with the bride not being here.
Hello?
The real bride. I think it's this bit.
Being with you, Paddy, it's like I found the missing half of me.
He's crying.
The Kirk. To my Spock. You've always got my back. You're pretty much my superhero, Paddy.
Which one?
Wolverine.
So important to you. The Wolverine line's my favourite line, isn't it?
We've been very, very, very lucky.
Yeah,
we really have.
We've both said independently in interviews, like, Paddy's the great love of Marlon's life, really.
Everyone loves Paddy and Marlon.
I had 10 years of magic with Charlie Hardwick. Valerie.
You lying, cheating scumbag. You've been out with that Rosalind woman when you said you were at some boring meeting.
That's exactly what it was.
You've only just met her and you want to start having an affair?
Who I miss to this day. She's just brilliant. Lovely. Lifts off the page. Brilliant. Don't tell me it slipped your mind. How long were you planning on hiding it?
I wasn't. Yes, it was smarting, but I thought it was sunburn. Either that or I tripped over the string of my espadrilles again.
Val and Eric, undeniable chemistry on screen and about to be reignited off screen.
Oh. You bugger! Sorry. You naughty girl.
Wasn't me. I knew you were too happy.
We just clicked, didn't we?
Yeah.
Morecambe and Wise, Little and Large, Val and Eric. They just put us together for a bit of a tryout, and it worked.
Yeah.
Two fiendish, selfish, narcissistic characters seemed to work well together.
Val's sudden death devastated Eric, but she returned as a ghost to say her final goodbyes in a scene that broke the nation's heart.
Don't you start. Do you need a moment?
I'm just... You don't know how happy I am to see you.
Easy, Tiger. It's not strictly true. You were hard work after a big meal. I hate seeing you cry. You big baby. Pull yourself together.
There's a little baby in here, Andy. A little boy or a little girl, and now there isn't.
Emmerdale has the power to move viewers and has built a reputation for tackling difficult and important issues.
We did start doing these really kind of hard-hitting or less talked about storylines.
Disability, LGBT issues.
I'm living as a man now.
Hannah?
It's not a big deal.
Important to make them more normal, really, more an everyday occurrence in people's lives, because then ultimately it opens up a conversation between people.
If you're gay, then you're gay. And that's just... And you are, aren't you?
Finding out about Aaron with his storyline of kind of coming out and finding a reason as to why he was so troubled and why he was so angry all the time. Let's pick the most unlikely character in the village that it might represent, sort of people who are also struggling with it, that have got this stereotypical picture of who they think a gay man or a gay woman should be.
I still care for you. You're a son to me.
Still today I get people come up and say, you know, you were the reason that I came out to my dad.
One thing Emmerdale's been doing, certainly the past sort of 6-7 years, is doing storylines that are really topical. Like, of course, Marlon's stroke at the moment.
When we got the story, I was really nervous about it, getting it right. And what's tricky about playing that storyline is that no stroke's the same. So I spoke to survivors and clinicians and all that sort of stuff.
I'm going to marry you, if that's still okay with you.
That storyline, when I've watched what I've watched, you know, I had to message saying, mate, my heart broke.
Judging by the reaction, it made people engage with each other. People think, I just don't want that to happen to me.
Emmerdale has done some really memorable, impactful storylines. I think for me, the ones that really stand out, Ashley's dementia.
I'm afraid your results are consistent with early onset vascular dementia.
I think that was an incredible story, especially when we saw the world through Ashley's eyes.
Someone help me, please!
I'm your home. I'm Laurel.
Got butterflies.
This is a hard storyline to do, really.
Unfortunately, they do show that your breast cancer has returned. Your condition is treatable.
But, what, not curable?
No.
Because Sally agreed to come back to die.
Hold on tight, because that's all life's all about.
It's not an enjoyable storyline to play, but I think it's a really important one, an important story to tell.
And I don't want to go. Not yet.
I look at Sally and I just look at her face and she makes me kind of get emotional.
Just know this, I love you. And I always will love you. Till my last breath.
All of these
particular human storylines, more relatable storylines, I think are when we are at our best. I think we've just been steadily getting better and better.
I spent the best part of 50 years in this house. You'll always have your memories.
What a fantastic trip down memory lane. One thing's for certain, it's been 50 unforgettable years.
50 years of telling stories about Britain, in our little corner of Britain.
People are really invested in it. They've been watching it for years. They've put as much love and care into watching it as we have into making it.
We want to keep people interested. We want to keep telling great stories.
When I'm long gone, when Mandy's dead and I'm dead, right, Emmerdale will still be on the screen.
I very much hope for myself, my children and my mortgage that there will be another 50 years of Emmerdale.
I'll come back for the 80th, I think.